Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're making this hand-stamped bookmark. Isn't it cute? I just love it. It's so pretty and floral and just reminds me of spring. So I really enjoyed making this and I'm going to show you how I did mine. Now, the stamp set I'm going to use is this one called Two Tone Flora, and I'm sorry about the glare. We're going to be using all of these florals, and it's a two-step stamping, which gives all this added extra definition and depth of character to our bookmark. So let's get started. I did this one in one colorway, and now I'm going to do, that was more oranges and yellows. Now this one's going to be more pink, so I'm going to be using here, I think it's Blushing Bride and Petal Pink and Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to take my biggest stamp and I'm stamping my lightest colour, which here is my Blushing Bride, or I think it's actually Petal Pink, and I'm going to just be stamping all over my bookmark in with the biggest flower here and there, no real rhyme or reason, just where it looks good to my eye. And I'm just going to be covering up my strip of cardstock, and this cardstock is basic white, and all the measurements for this you'll find on the blog post on my website, and the link to that is in the description box below. So now I'm moving on to the smaller flowers, and I'm just going to use them to sort of fill in the gaps around my piece of paper, my card. And you can see here I'm just sort of, keep on turning my piece of paper, keep on turning my stamp set so it doesn't look like I've repeatedly stamped the same thing. So there we have our beautiful bookmark already stamped, and it looks beautiful already, but we're going to make it look even better. And to do that we're going to be using our two-step stamping. So actually I'm going in with one of the smaller stamps, actually again, even smaller ones, just to add a little bit here and there of something. I obviously felt I wanted to fill in some of these gaps. So you can see here I'm just going to go in one or two extra places with it, and I like to stamp off the piece of paper as well. So now we are going to go with our detailing stamp, and we're going to be using our darker ink for this, and this is Flirty Flamingo. And I'm just inking up my stamp, and you just look through the stamp, and these are really easy to line up. And just look through it straight and line it up and down on the piece of paper. It's really easy, you can see there, and it just brings those flowers to life. That extra definition really brings it to life, and this is the beauty of two-step stamping, where you can add extra definition and detail through your stamping, and it really does just give that stamp that note of realism. So you can see here I'm going to do the same for all of my bigger stamps here, bigger flowers. There you go, I speeded it up a little bit so you wouldn't be bored to tears. I'm going to go in with my smaller stamp now, or the middle size stamp, and do exactly the same thing, just going round and adding it. It's not exactly perfect, it's not the end of the world. This is a hand stamped bookmark, it is not factory made. Okay, and there we have our pretty bookmark. Isn't that lovely? I adore it. So pretty. So just cleaning up all my stamps, and now we're going to be using this little stamp here, these little dots from the stamp set called Quiet Meadow, and I'm just going to be stamping this by hand. I'm not using a block actually, but I just want a little bit of one edge of the stamp, and you can see here I'm just stamping it by hand, just rolling the stamp a little bit, which is something you wouldn't normally do. And I'm just filling in these little extra white spaces, and it almost looks like pollen floating through the air, or that was my thought process anyway. So sometimes it's difficult to know when to stop. You just want to keep on going with these little details. I could go on forever with things like that, but enough is good as a feast. Now we're going to back this bookmark on some Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and to use that I'm just going to put a bit of Stampin' Seal on the back, and then we are just going to back this onto our piece of cardstock here. And as I said, the measurements for all of this is on the blog post on my website. If you are enjoying this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up so YouTube know, and please do consider subscribing. It really does help all YouTube creators for their videos to become a little bit more visible. So now we're going to make our little tag at the top, or our little tassels, and I'm using some of this polished pink ribbon. And so firstly I'm going to use my crocodile to make a hole at the top of my bookmark, and then I'm going to cut off a strip of my polished pink ribbon, and you can see here I'm going to fold it in half so that I have two pieces, and then I'm going to cut those two pieces in half again, so I actually have and you're going to end up with 4 little strips in the end. So I cut that in half just like that. Now I'm going to feed these through my hole, so I'm just going to try and get them so they're both at the same length roughly, and try and get a little point at the top. You can use your pokey tool to help you get through the hole if you need to. And now you can see here at the top I've actually got 4 little tassels, and I'm going to tie it in place using some of this white baker's twine. So I'm going to attempt to tie a little bow or knot. I'm not the best with things like this, and you can see here I just use a block to hold my tassels in place so they don't fly all over the place. And we're going to attempt to tie that little bow or knot, and you can see there we go. I did manage it in the end, and there you can see both bookmarks. You can tell me which one you like best. Where's the orangey yellows or the pinks? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read your comments. So thank you for joining me today, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.